Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Hopefully, everybody's having an awesome day here on this glorious November the 26th, the day before Thanksgiving, the day before Packer football. Really excited about that matchup against the Detroit Lions tomorrow. We've been kind of diving into it a little bit after we finished the tape from the Vikings game this week, and really jacked to do the live show tonight as we're going to really dig deep into the numbers, into the analytics, who has the true advantage, and give you the latest on the injury report, all that good stuff as we get ready for that Thanksgiving Day matchup. However, today, this quick little episode is going to be in reaction to the Pat McAfee show today. And Peter Schrager, you guys know, one of my favorite media members. I think he does it the right way, keeps politics, the BS out of it, right? Just reports on football and does it with a pretty good personality. You know, you guys hear me quote him all the time saying the best advice he could give for anybody who wants to get in the sports media or do anything around sports is work hard and don't be an a-hole, right? And I always respected the fact that he said that. So we're going to get his take on this Packers defense. Really excited to hear what he and Pat McAfee had to say after they obviously shut down the Minnesota Vikings. So we'll give you that. We're also going to give you some updated rankings. Where does this Jeff Hafley Packers defense actually sit in terms of the key analytics? You know, your points per play allowed, your rush defense, your pass defense, the takeaways, all that stuff. We'll give you all that in a deep dive here in rapid fashion. Get you guys and gals out of here quick. Before we do, if you would, do that YouTube stuff for me. Hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your afternoon. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're fans just like you talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. All right, let's waste no time. Let's jump into it. This was Peter Schrager on the Pat McAfee show earlier today, I believe it was. Actually, yesterday. It was immediately following the Vikings game, so I'm a little late on this, but I want to get your all's take on it in the chat. Here he was talking about this Jeff Hafley and Packers defense. So hear him talk a little bit about the Vikings on the front side, and then we'll dive into the meat and taters and get you guys those rankings. Here we go.
I don't want to break it up, Trades.
Oh, yeah, have to.
That Minnesota Vikings team.
Yeah.
I don't want to reiterate the point, and people are going to say we're echoing ourselves. But it is such a good point that it needs to be stated time and time again. That NFC was decided in the final week by the Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings. They're playing for the number one overall seed. Team back. Coordinators back. Everything's back except for quarterback.
I want you to listen to how everything's changed around the Vikings. And again, they've been banged up this year, right? They've gotten kind of beat up around the league. People forget they started off fairly hot, right? So they're kind of now dwindling away. Listen to how the media has completely flipped on Minnesota after the Packers just beat them down this last Sunday at Lambeau Field. Listen to the tone of their voice when they talk about the Vikings now.
Quarterback is new. Who you going with? Young guy. We drafted him early for a reason. He got hurt, doesn't have a lot of reps, but we were going all in around him. You got Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins.
Rodgers was available.
Aaron Rodgers allegedly was waiting to hear if they wanted him. A lot of quarterbacks, okay? A lot of quarterbacks that wanted that position because they know Kevin O'Connell's offense. If you are able to get to your drop step, there's somebody going to be wide open, and it might be Justin.
You guys remember that, right? You remember last year, KOC, was coach of the year last year or the year before? And it was just, he can plug and play any quarterback into this offense, right? And he had been able to do that up to this point. Now, listen, I think J.J. McCarthy has played bad. Don't get me wrong. But also, this Packer defense played really good Sunday. And on top of that, when you take everything and put it into the pot, here's the thing that people are overlooking about KOC's offense. You're talking about 2-3 years into this program now where they've really had success. Guess what? Teams start to catch on. And now you're going to understand just how good a head coach is to see how they adjust. You know, that's the thing about Matt LaFleur. He's been ran through the ringer, right? The one thing about Matt LaFleur, his coaching staff has been absolutely poached every single year. It seems like somebody comes in and they snag away another coach. They snag away another assistant. They snag away not necessarily a play caller, but someone who's kind of institutionalized within that Packers offense. And even the Packers, defensive side of the ball too. Look at Jacksonville's defense. They're phenomenal, right? Well, guess what? That's Coach Campanelli, our linebacker coach that took the DC job down there. And all of a sudden the takeaways went with him from Green Bay to Jacksonville. But then you look up and Jeff Hafley isn't missing a beat. He's still got a top 5 defense. So I think it's worth mentioning all of that, right? So you get these coaches like KOC who now they take, they have a little bit of success and now all of a sudden they're starting to struggle. Let's see how they adjust. Yes, J.J. McCarthy's playing bad, but all those weapons on that team, supposedly one of the best offensive lines in the league that we just ran rep shot through. It was no problem getting to J.J. McCarthy all day long. And on top of that, kind of harnessing the run a bit too. I just think that that's something that gets swept under the rug. Look at Dan Campbell. We're finding out who Dan Campbell truly is now that Ben Johnson's gone, now that Aaron Glenn's gone, right? And what do you got? They're out of the playoffs right now. Last I checked, or they're at least the number 7 seed. They're in 3rd place in the NFC North. And it's not that that team forgot how to play football. It's not that, they don't have, everybody's banged up this time of year. The Packers are freaking decimated, right, with injury. But the point is, these coaches have got to now adjust. And I said that going into the season was like, hey, we'll see how good Dan Campbell is. And now he gets a taste of what LaFleur's gone through the last several years, having to constantly replace coordinators and coaches because they're getting poached on other teams.
Jefferson, the best wide receiver in all of football. So very fascinating how it's all unraveling right now and how 9 is performing. He's also currently in the concussion protocol that just got announced via Ari Mirov via the team's, I would assume, website or social media account. How do you kind of view this entire 9 situation with the Vikings? Because obviously yesterday Micah and Green Bay Packers defense did their thing against them. 59, 52-yard field goals, half the points that they scored the entire night. What are your thoughts on the Vikings? Because they're supposed to be in it, I think everybody thinks or thought going into the season.
Well, look, Jeff Hafley's defense put on a show yesterday, and the fact that they had 5 net yards in the second half and they were
5 net yards in the second half is what the Packers gave up to the Vikings. And people forget going into this game, Vikings fans are getting a little loud, right? They were like, 9's going to go in there and take care of business. 9's going to, the rough patch is behind him. There was all this chatter, right, that KOC owns Lambeau Field. He's going to go in and dominate. That's just unbelievable. Less than 10 yards of total net offense in the second half.
Back 5 times, had 2 interceptions, and then both 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 in the first half. Big moments in the red zone, got stuffed. That's the game. And we're going to talk about it the rest of his career, sadly, until he turns it around. But J.J. McCarthy was selected over Bo Nix, and he was in a draft where there was other quarterbacks who are having great success. Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels last year, and Michael Penix has shown flashes. So you're in that draft class. That's one bucket. Then the second bucket is the guys that you chose him over. And Darnold could have been franchise tagged this year, and McCarthy's salary is.
And listen, there's been other Viking fans that have said, no, we couldn't afford him. We couldn't afford him. You can afford a quarterback. If it's the quarterback that you want, you can afford him. You push that money out. You play cash over cap. Again, this is that GM that everybody was saying very analytics driven, right? He was he's kind of a professor. How's that working out for you, bub? They went out and they got a lot of aging veterans this year. Right? If I remember correctly, in the offseason, they let the quarterback walk because they're trusting in their general manager that he drafted the quarterback of the future. And if you guys remember when they drafted J.J. McCarthy, listen, I'm not going to sit there and pretend like I thought he was a 7th-round pick, but he damn sure wasn't the best quarterback in the draft. And they're treating it like, hey, this guy is a true, just a gifted, talented quarterback that was going to come in and rip it up. You guys remember coming out of college, J.J. McCarthy was – well, they got a heavy running game. They could lean on that running game. Then all of a sudden, everybody expected him to be a franchise quarterback. We had Caleb Williams 1, Drake May 2, Jaden Daniels 3, Michael Penix Jr. 4. Caught some hell over that one, by the way. Bo Nix was the 5th best quarterback. Then we had J.J. McCarthy. So we literally had them in the right order. I'm trying to see if there's any other quarterbacks that have performed well. There is not. So I feel like we got them in the right order. I mean, Drake May and Caleb Williams were in the same tier. I was very vocal. It was actually Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels were this close to each other, right? And I was very vocal saying I would take Jaden Daniels out of the 3. That looked correct the first year. And then, of course, Drake May took over this year. and has been phenomenal. So, and Caleb Williams, listen, is playing good football. He's not as good as the numbers may suggest when you look at the EPA and everything else. However, hands down, that's probably your best 3 quarterbacks in that draft. Them with Bo Nix, who we had 5th. So JJ McCarthy was our 6th ranked quarterback, and here they went up and treated it like a franchise QB.
Is not exuberant. They could have had both those guys on the roster, and they could have said, let's run it back. We came up just short. Let's do it. You could have also brought back Daniel Jones. You could have entertained Rodgers, and you could have said to McCarthy, we're going to wait one more year until you come off this injury. We're going to see. Hindsight's 2020, of course.
All right, so there you go. There was Peter Schrager talking about that Packers defense and a little bit of Vikings talk there as well. It's just amazing how the narrative has changed so quickly, right? Because again, going into the year, they were just supposed to be dominant. Let's talk about this defense because I don't think they're getting enough credit. All you hear about is how bad JJ McCarthy is, and you don't hear how elite this Packers defense has been, right? So let's just dive into it here. You guys can find this in our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. I think I get a QR code here. Bang, you can scan that QR code in the upper left. That'll send you to that. We put articles up like this all the time. We do deep dives on the stats and analytics that we think are important. So here we go. Let's jump into the rankings as they sit right now. All right, so here is what we've got. Let's start with scoring defense, okay? And again, I like points per play over points per game. Points per game can get very, very, very skewed. So points per players, how efficient our offense is at scoring points based off the number of plays they're given, as opposed to the entire game or maximizing on field position, things like that. It's just points per play. It's not a perfect metric, but to me, it's the best way to determine how good a defense is at preventing the other team from getting in the end zone and kicking field goals, which we all know is the ultimate name of the game. So number 1, the LA Rams at a .249. Number 2, Denver Broncos .280. Houston .288. And then your Green Bay Packers are 4th at .301. Seattle comes in 5th place. Notice down this list too, I just included them for that reason. We're getting ready to play them. The Detroit Lions are 12th. They're the 12th best scoring defense in the league as it sits right now. Okay, so again, the Packers are 4th. The Lions are 12th. Now let's move along to another metric I like, pass defense. Well, you can look at passing yards per game. You can look at all this different stuff, right? Defensively, I like to look at EPA per drop back allowed. I think that's an important metric. But really, the opponent yards per pass attempt, again, break it down. Every time they drop back and throw the football, how many yards are they averaging? Not on just the completions, but just on attempts, right? Green Bay is leading the National Football League with the best yards per pass attempt allowed by their opponents, tied with Houston at 5.4 yards per pass attempt allowed. So again, when you're looking at everything as a whole, it's easy to just look at the Vikings and go, okay, they're horrible. Well, maybe the Packers defense is so damn elite. That's why they looked so horrible, right? To me, the truth always lies somewhere in the middle, but I'm telling you, this Green Bay defense is legit. So you're seeing a top 5 scoring defense. You're seeing the best passing defense in the league as well. And notice over the last 3 guys, they're giving up 5.8 yards per pass attempt over the last 3. So if you go back to that, obviously the last game is a 2.7, but look at what they're doing, on the year compared to last year. 5.4 this year. Last year they were 6.4 is what they allowed. Now, if you climb down and try to find Detroit, where are they at? I don't even know if they're on this list. There they are. They're 19th. Actually, no, they're tied for 15th in passing defense. So the edge goes to the Packers when it comes to defense. There's people talking about, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to run all over him. He's going to run all over him. He could. He's a really good back. Don't get me wrong. But to sit here and pretend like the 32nd ranked yards per rush attempt allowed in the league, and then in passing defense, where is the New York Giants at? They're not even on this list. So there they are. They're 12th. So the 12th best passing defense is the New York Giants, right? And when you look at their rush defense, they're dead last in the league. And they see Jahmyr Gibbs just run all over them. It's like, oh boy, yeah, he's going to be able to run all over Green Bay. Not so fast, man. Again, if you pass to set up the run or run to set up the pass, both of them equal. You need the passing game to be successful against Green Bay. And the reality is Green Bay has the first ranked passing defense in the league right now. Let's move on to rush defense. So we kind of talked about it already. Opponent yards per rush attempt allowed. Detroit 6 sits in the number 5 spot with Green Bay. So we're both tied for 5th best rush defense in terms of yards per rush attempt at 3.9 allowed. So when you look at the run defense, it's kind of a push. We have the much better pass defense. And again, if we go down, you won't even see them on the list. The New York Giants are dead last. That's how Detroit ran the football all over the New York Giants last week. So I'm not overly concerned with Jahmyr Gibbs. Play your game plan, right? Do what you do and do it good. If you feel like you need to load the box to stop Jahmyr Gibbs, give it a shot. If they start to open up the passing game to Amon-Ra St. Brown and some of those guys from Jared Goff, then you can adjust on the fly. Remember what we say, there's 3 different phases to every game. This is Bill Walsh 101, Michael Lombardi 101. The first quarter, you're gathering information. We just did a 4-game saturation of scouting plus the last 2 head-to-head for the opponent you're facing that week. You formulate a game plan. Here's what they're doing recently. Here's what they did against our scheme last time. You put a game plan together. In that first quarter, you're gathering information. Okay, is the game plan working? Is that what they're doing? Or did they completely flip the script and they're going in the opposite direction? That leads me to the second phase of the game, which is the second and third quarter is about making adjustments and controlling the middle 8, right? So the second and third quarter, that's what you're doing is adjusting. The fourth quarter, standalone game. Forget the game plan. Forget what works and what hasn't. What do we need to do right now to win this ball game? It may mean run the clock out. It may mean run the ball 90% of the time because we got a 14-point lead. It may mean we got to pass every single down because we're down by 3 and our running game's getting stuffed. Treat the fourth quarter like a standalone game. So again, I think that the Packers defense gets the edge in this matchup against Detroit, and I'm not overly concerned about their running game. It's definitely the focal point, don't get me wrong, but Green Bay has a good enough rush defense and we can shut that down. So just another avenue there. Now let's go to takeaways per game. You guys know this is huge in my opinion. This is where Green Bay has struggled. We are tied for 22nd in the league in takeaways per game with only 1. We're averaging 1 per game. Last game was 2. And of course, this is defense. That doesn't include the special teams one, right? Last year, we averaged 1.7. So we exceeded that 1.7 against Minnesota, but we're falling short of it on average through the season. Now, the numbers dictate that we're due for a bunch of turnovers. So you just got to stay steady. We've seen them drop interceptions. I think those numbers are going to continue to come as we get later in the year. But again, when you look at Detroit here, however, they're slightly better than us. They're sitting in the 11th spot, tied with a bunch of teams in the 11th spot with 1.2 takeaways per game. Okay, so they have the slight advantage there. We have a dramatic advantage in our pass defense. It's pretty much a push with run defense. They're slightly better at takeaways. What's the formula for success there? It's protect the football and make them play left-handed so Jared Goff makes mistakes. Now, he's checked down Charlie. He's not going to give you a whole lot of interception opportunities, although last year I think he did have a game where he threw like 5 or 6 in one game. This year, probably not so much. Focus on stopping the run, and let's make them beat us through the air. And again, this wasn't supposed to be a Detroit Lions preview for tomorrow's matchup. You guys will get that tonight when we go live at 6 p.m. Central. I wanted to give you guys an idea of where this defense ranks. So quick recap. 22nd in takeaways. Got to get better at that. Run defense. We are tied for 5th best in the league with Jacksonville, Detroit, and the LA Rams. The LA Rams, in my opinion, the best team in the league right now. And then pass defense, we are 1st, tied with the Houston Texans in pass defense. So that's how your defense currently sits, currently ranks. I'm excited about Jeff Hafley and what he's going to do with the future of this defense. Really excited to see what they can do against Detroit tomorrow on Thanksgiving Day. I think it's going to be an awesome game. I think it's going to be a close game. I've got it a little bit closer than that 3-point spread. Some places are reporting the Detroit Lions are 3-point favorites. Obviously, being at home, you might as well call this a push. I had it closer to 2 points. I think this is going to be one of those games that unless someone just comes out and makes a ton of mistakes, turning the ball over, you fumble a kickoff return, you throw an interception on top of that, you're down 2-0 in turnover differential, you'll probably lose by 10 points. But if you look up and both these teams are protecting the football, we're probably going to be talking about a final drive of the game, a game-winning field goal, something like that. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. So make sure you get rested up, start fasting now. Don't overeat today. I've been doing this Thanksgiving thing for about 43 years now. I'm a pro at it. Don't eat anything all day so you can make yourself miserable tomorrow, right? So appreciate everybody in the chat, man. I see everybody was in here lighting it up. Let's go to the chat for just a second. Sood, hope I'm saying that right. Sood Koo says, I love our run defense. It's so underrated, man. It's so underrated. Because, again, we look at the sacks. We look at the flashy plays, right? Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary and now Devontae Wyatt starting to pick up where he kind of left off before he got hurt. And you just focus on that stuff, and you really don't take into consideration how good this run defense has been for sure, man. So let's see here. Kyle in the chat. Kyle Andretti says, D-line going to feast. Do you see LVM playing tomorrow? That's a great question, Kyle. I want to say yes. It's just how much, right? Like what's odd about that injury that Matt LaFleur said he wouldn't say he re-aggravated it. He's just still dealing with it. As we've seen, he played early, started hobbling. They took him off the field, and then all of a sudden he magically popped back up on the field in the fourth quarter when the game was out of reach. If there was any chance of hurting it any further, or that he maybe had already re-injured it a little bit worse than it was, I don't think they would have put him back out there. So that's a good sign, coupled with Matt LaFleur's comments. With that being said, I don't think you'll see his full workload. I'm thinking somewhere around 10 snaps, if it's not bothering him too bad, would be my guess. And you know what? I'm okay with that. The main thing is get him healthy for this stretch run to the playoffs, where we're going to try to win 12 games, right? 11 will probably get you in. You win 12, you're going to get in the playoffs. And right now, I kind of see them in that range. It's going to be 11 to 12 wins, somewhere there. Essentially, what it comes down to is you can afford to lose 2 more games the rest of the year. Is it going to be one at Detroit, which I picked Detroit to win this game in the preseason, right? Is it going to be them that's going to be one of those losses? If that's the case, now you're looking at Denver and Baltimore. You can't overlook any opponent. We've learned that this year. But again, I think the main thing is make sure you're playing your best football coming down the stretch going into the playoffs there, Kyle. And maybe that means let's don't try to put too much on LVN's plate right now, if that makes sense. So Professor Cake said he's feeling real confident. He says Packers are going to win. I love it, man. Love the optimism, man. Love the optimism. And let's just see here. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Suit says, especially our inside and linebacker. I mean, telling you, the linebacking core has been phenomenal, in my opinion. Even when McQuay's out there, he's not grading out high according to PFF, but he looks so much better this year. He just seems like he's a little more aggressive underneath, and that's something that he struggled with in the past. J. Cole, I think Jacobs is playing tomorrow. I hope so. But again, just like LVN, limited role if you need to. Emmanuel Wilson, man, if anything, Emmanuel Wilson showed you he could tote the rock. Now, last week we played against the Vikings, and they've got a worse run defense, obviously. I'm pretty sure than the Detroit Lions. I'll double check here real quick. It won't be on the screen, but let me just take a quick glance here. So the Minnesota Vikings, no, actually, they're tied for 9th best rush defense. So they're just 0.1 yard per carry off. So 1/10 of a yard per carry allowed behind Detroit and Green Bay. So this idea that the Vikings defense was just horrible it's just false. They've got a legit top 10 running defense. Saying we came out and we ran the rock. So, and that was with Emmanuel Wilson. So if Josh Jacobs gets meaningful snaps, I'm with you, Jay. That would be absolutely awesome if he's playing tomorrow. I think he's going to play too, man. Jen Wright says Jacobs playing via sources. I don't know if she's playing with me right now. Do we really have sources on that? You guys go check that on Twitter, and we'll talk about it in the comments after the video here. Appreciate you, Jen. I hope that's right. Hope that's legit. Last one here, and then we'll get out. Kyle Andretti says, when Nate Hobbs returns, what type of role do you see him playing? Man, Kyle, you got all the tough questions, dude. I don't know. I truly don't know. You want to know what I'm scared of? I'm scared. I need to insert the Rocky meme, the Rocky gift, where he says, I'm afraid. I'm scared when he's healthy, they're just going to go, all right, you're starting over Valentine. Get back in there. Because he was a free agent signing, although I've said multiple times on this particular show that it's a 1-year deal. That's what it is. It's a 1+3. If he plays good, the Packers are in good shape to have him under contract for the next 3 years. If you don't like the way he played, you can cut bait this year and free up some cap space. Same thing with Aaron Banks. Now, whether they'll do that or not, I don't know. But the fact that they signed him in free agency, I just don't want Valentine off the field, man. And I feel like Keyshawn is a much better corner, at least in this defense up to this point, albeit Nate Hobbs has been banged up than Nate Hobbs. Yeah. So here we go. J. Cole said, Ian Rappaport mentioned something about it on NFL Network. Good stuff. So Jen Wright, there you go. Thanks. Yeah, Jen said, I forgot who said it, Rap maybe. Good stuff. Good information. Y'all appreciate that. Hopefully he does play. That would be awesome to have Josh Jacobs back. So, and then they went on to say, I feel like he's a 3rd-string cornerback. That might be a little tough for me, talking about Nate Hobbs, because Nate Hobbs plays really good in the slot, right? Now we got Bull in the slot. So, I don't want to pull Bullard off the field for Nate Hobbs, but I'll tell you what, let's look at the positive, right? When he is healthy, you feel really good about our backup slot defender. And I feel really good about him coming in and playing if one of our corners goes down. I just don't want him to slow down the momentum that both Keyshawn and Carrington Valentine have had up to this point on the outside. So All right. There you go, guys. Just like I said, a little defensive breakdown. I think the Packers defense is flying under the radar. I want to hear what you guys and gals think in the comments. If you're watching this video back later, let us know in the comments what you think about this defense. Do you think they're a legit top 3 defense, top 5? Do you think they're number 1? We want to hear from you in the comments. Make sure you hit subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. Everybody who's watching here today, please, please, please just take a quick second. Hit that like button. You guys have been crushing it here lately, hitting the like button, and the algorithm ran through the roof. A lot of people, new viewers, are getting access to the show now. They're seeing it in their algorithm because you guys and gals are being really, really good, loyal viewers and just taking a quick second hitting that like button. We cannot thank you enough for that. So we'll be back tonight, 6 p.m. Central for PTA Live, a full Packers versus Lions Thanksgiving Day deep dive and breakdown. We'll get you all of the information. We'll show you their lineups against ours, vice versa, give you the updated injury report, and we'll be ready to roll right into Turkey Day and watch some good football. So everybody hit like for me. This is PTA. My name's Clayton. Go Pack, go.
Here we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.